Okay, so this is going to be for the sign of Virgo. And we are just going to see either what's been in your field, what you've been working through, what you need to know more of. One more, please. That's it. Okay. Somebody's all of a sudden instantaneously stressed about someone's maturity, someone's balance. Maybe somebody has been trying to... So, like, here's the thing, right? So they're showing me, like, if you sleep with somebody, say, who is emotional or reactive or full of entity attachments, you essentially take that energy on, right? And people don't realize that. It's part of the reason why it takes 6 months to kind of like whittle out somebody's energy out of your field. And in truth, I mean, you can speed it up if you do know like what you're looking for. But the truth is, I'm getting somebody, that's what happened, is somebody essentially slept with somebody and they took on like their chaotic nature, or maybe somebody learned how to transmute somebody else's energy, right? So identifying it, seeing this like gesture of sorts, and then popping their bubble, right? And so it kind of brings you into a vibration of like oneness, of like full creation. It's a full spectrum, right? And so like, I don't know, what are you writing into existence? They just said. So you might see 404, and it kind of, it's opening up this gateway of access to where like things and people can no longer bind you, right? I'm talking to somebody who is got a lot of gifts. They are a starseed specifically, or come from like a lineage, a DNA lineage of the original families, right? The original like seeds of the planet. And it's kind of like you've accelerated your healing phase, and you've like bypassed a lot of the darkness you were around, is what they're saying. It's like you caught it like at the nick of time. Because if you would have gone one more day, then you wouldn't have been able to clear the, they just said carnage. I don't know. Maybe it's from a life in carnage. I don't know. I think that's, yeah. You might want to tap into that. Trying to see things from your twin's perspective, gaining a better understanding, right? Like when you start doing the deep work of like looking at the reactions of why somebody does what they do, and sometimes because of, say somebody is a clear channel, or say somebody is very gifted, right? And they never learned to house it. Instead, their life taught their soul how to slip out of the body and allow someone else to take the lump, right? It's part of the reason why people don't remember fragments of their life. It's part of it. And so, like, somebody's doing deep research in this process, and so maybe this is acknowledgement for you that, you know, this energy is your energy, right? Whatever that is. Because there's something like, okay, yeah, got it. They want me to remove whatever's sitting in your sinus cavity. It's an attachment. And just take a deep breath, focusing on it, and let's pull in an orange, because that's what I saw first. And it's, something's been like impeding your visions, impeding your third eye, impeding your clarity. Oh, they just said because when you go in, you have to be operating out of your emotions and your heart center. So you have to feel it. And until you see the connection as it's supposed to be, I don't know, this is just what they're saying. That's when then, like, it's kind of like your gifts are shut down because you chose not to move forward, right? And so because you're essentially, I don't know why they're just like, you're essentially impeding, like, whoever this is for, right? Because you're not taking action forward and you're not leading from your heart center and you're not feeling with the body, like, they are shutting down the third eye and the gifts that you have until you can I don't know, they're showing me somebody with their hands like cuffed together so like you don't get your healing energy. Something to do with like some kind of a contract that's null and void, right? So then you don't get access to the secondary energetic plane that you were promised in the original contract, right? Because somebody chose to break the contract. This could be you, this could be the other person, right? Yeah, somebody chose, oh, they wanted me to get the things you need to release because there's quite a bit in the body. And if you're the person, is this for the person that, whoever's operating in light, right, that this was done to, or say somebody was trying to bind your third eye, right, trying to suckle on your energetic frequency, stealing your creative energy, say they made millions off of it, right? This is essentially like a balancing of the scale. This is what is happening to the enemy of the enemy or whatever. Because of the violation in universal code, in universal law. It's like going into an incarnation cycle, identifying the higher self like way earlier than most people, and then not utilizing the energy for good, right? And so whoever the empathic soul is that this was done to, they operated in a state of maturity, right? They stressed out, they were intense, but they worked through the echelon of like what was hindering their love language, right? Do you want to show those to me so I can clear them then? So take a deep breath, reconnecting with your root, opening up your feet chakra. So for those of you that have been lugging around bitterness, grievances, anger, resentment, like why didn't it happen? If I saw it, then why didn't it happen? Right? The assertiveness and like the inability to hold boundaries because it's like energetically you were like, no, but this is what it is, right? And I'm getting like the other person, like instead it was what it was. But the other person chose to be triggered and then go into a different timeline. But it actually slingshotted them ahead of your own evolution. So now there's not a vibrational match. Somebody could be like working with stars, constellations, energetic frequencies. Yeah, being in nature, being on a mountain is going to open up your self-awareness because there's no energetic impediments, right? Yeah, and whoever this was, like wherever when you were operating out of these energies, like when you cathartically like wrote everything out, when you identified everything, when you truly understood the why and the how come, like that essentially like allowed you to open up the door to like a divine nectar, right? A shroud of protection, because then somebody got on this pathway of like choosing a higher timeline. It was like identifying and then like understanding these were the holdups in the relationships of like why things were never working out, or understanding like that these were the, what are they saying? It's like these are the hard lines like that I no longer want in my vibration, right? So if somebody's operating out of bitterness, or they're always like having a grievance with somebody, or if somebody's always like overpowering you, not having boundaries, or the boundaries are only suiting for the other person, right? And so like these energies are essentially like working themselves out of your auric field. And that also comes from taking breathers and taking time out where you're able to go insular, whether it's 1 day or whether it's 3 days, like that's entirely up to your variation, right? How quickly you can get connected to with your guides, how you can get into a state of meditation, how quickly you can shift your vibrational frequency, like allowing yourself to wear a different cap, turning off like any of the current reality stuff, and like then getting into you're rewriting a new story is what they said. Do you want me to pull that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Is that it? Somebody's going to have a baby. Somebody wrote about having a little girl. Maybe somebody saw the birth of a little girl. But it's... which cards? Somebody just asked me to clarify the little girl, so I will. Because either she just popped her head in, or it's something that you've been wanting. Or again, maybe this is the vision that you had. I don't know. I mean, you can really spin it any way you are tapping in, right? Like just identify and see. So you're going to start seeing 64 frickin' everywhere. 0550 and 7111. And these are going to be essentially like your download codes. You also may see 9873 or 987 and you're a life path 3. I don't know. Or you could be a life path 9 and 8, a 7, or a 3. Take it as it resonates. So there is going to be some kind of opportunity that is going to cause like a leap of faith, that is going to be kind of sudden, right? It's almost like somebody dreams a dream. They wake up like frantic, like, oh my God, this is not going to happen in this lifetime. And then they like realize like every turn that they essentially took an opportunity to choose a different timeline, like over and over and over. And it was like their way of being resilient, right? But it was also a way of keeping them off of their higher timeline, which apparently is like a birth of a daughter. This could be a rainbow. But there's a freedom in like the unpacking of that, right? Somebody is like either able to truly see and meet the vibration that they are, that they're supposed to have in this new beginning. Like as you're like writing out, as you're declaring like what it is you desire, right? And how you want to feel, how you want to travel, like what it is like okay, got it. Thank you. They just said you want to travel the world, but you also want to be like kind of remotely isolated. Oh, somebody's trying to create confusion. Somebody's trying to keep you in some kind of a loop, even though whatever's been going on has already been, like, nailed out, right? Like, somebody's already gained self-mastery. And the thing is like, all of this is, like, going to be accelerated and coming into being, like, come summer. Like, this is, like, legit happening, like, this summer. So, like, work on those last little bits, right? Pull out, like, whatever's on that shoulder. I see you can go ahead and exit. Take a deep breath, and it's going to adjust your throat, and it's going to adjust your heart chakra. Just allow the energy to shift you into space, into place, fully balanced and centered. Take another deep breath. Pulling in this purple, this light lavender, and you can even place some sparkles in it, right? Oh, I don't think I read these. Good. That helped. Thank you. Your throat's going to be recalibrating for 48 hours. I would drink a lot of water. And if you can, do breath exercises. It's just going to help. That you are dearly loved is the eternal truth. For in all grand cosmic schemes, somebody was set up. Like this, everything that happened was like a divine plan. Like the play was already written prior to the incarnation. It's actually a repeated cycle. That keeps replaying, but people play the different roles each lifetime, right? So everybody gets like a turn at the evolution. There's a forerunner, and then there's a person that's behind. And that's, I don't know. Only love is real. Only love will remain forever in our hearts. Love does not judge you. It just unconditionally loves you. It is true wisdom of consciousness. Seek shelter in love, and you shall hear the song of the Spirit. Be the guide by its sacred sound. Right? So some of you may also be like humming or like hearing a melody in your clairaudience, and it could either be like tied to a past life, right? Like knowing the waltz, but like never actually learning the waltz, but like falling into like, wow, I can actually do this, right? It's like secondary muscle memory. But that's from a past life. So like unpack that and understand, like, I don't know, maybe you're looking at that with your, the way your boundaries are impeded or something. Through the power of love, or maybe that's something you need to look into. Through the power of love shall unfold in the most perfect ways for all concerned. This card is a blessing from the angels, who is here to reassure you that all is well. There is no need to worry, and all is bathed in the sea of divine love, right? The sea is the most cleansing energy on the entire planet. And like, think about that, right? Feel that ocean wash over you, wherever you are at. Because the truth is like, that energy is instantaneously purifying. Once you connect in with like the water of the planet, right? Where there's no chemicals, where there's no, well, I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. It's, yeah. Maybe you need to go to the beach, right? One more. Yeah, there's something about like you playing and like opening up your psychic abilities, your intuitiveness. There is an evolution on the board. Please be patient with yourself, right? You are able to let the universal energy of transformation move according to its own loving rhythm. Evolution, you realize that obstacles are merely lessons to your path to love. And like that is the key component to walking into Eden. Where you finally discover Eden on earth is through that vibration. And many people think that they find it, right? But they find these things to fill this void that they've never done the work on. And the minute you actually do all the internal guidance and all the work and all the understanding of like where you were reactive and where you needed to choose a different calibration, right? Because the way we work with energy currently is greatly going to change because the manipulation of the energy is no longer going to be valid, right? And so it causes you to have to really do the underlining work to get to a state where you are choosing a higher timeline, right? It's like the universe is essentially making you like do the internal, to do the understanding, the peeling of that onion, right? The understanding of like why this stuff keeps coming up, why, you know, you're good and then you fall back into a cycle. How when that person is like reflecting the old you, right? Because the universe will test you that way. And even though that person is like reflecting an old part of you, you're still physically choosing to be a better option of yourself, right? It's not saying that it's perfect, but it's you. That's how mastery happens, is you are consciously like choosing a higher timeline with every single reaction, interaction, reflectiveness of self, right? And so take time to like sit down and do that, because it's literally going to open up a different frequency for your counterpart. And they're also like, because you have to think like work happens simultaneously for people that are divinely connected, that are truly divinely connected, not this hodgepodge of like things that are out there, right? Like, but the thing is like, when you're truly connected, if you're doing the deep diving and you're doing the work, like you are dragging your counterpart, whoever that may be. And so like the faster you get into your heart center and you just say, you know what, God, whatever's for me, bring to me. I surrender it. I let it go completely. Like if it's meant to be, then it will fall into place. And giving that load of surrender and tapping into your higher self and actually listening to the divine guidance is essentially what is waking you up and opening you up to that possibility of meeting that soulmate, right? Meeting that person. You're not going to meet them on your sofa. And you're not going to meet them through... I mean, you could meet them through a friend. I mean, the thing is the universe works in really funny ways. So it can happen in any way. But it's more important in regards to the work that you're doing internally, and with that attention, sending that healing energy to the other person, right? You're doing this in a co-collaboration, so that you can get onto a higher timeline, right? Where your telepathy is open, where you have your internal guidance, where you can run your own energy, right? You have a... here's the thing, right? These things are all part of a higher evolution. Like the thing is like when somebody, you know, tells you something but they're lying, like you're gonna know in your internal guidance, hey, that guy's lying, I'm not gonna do business with him, right? Like that's a next level shit that's gonna be happening on the planet. And I don't know why, but maybe that's something that you've been working on. Maybe there's clarity there. Maybe you needed to hear. I don't know. But life is going to get a lot more interesting for you. Specifically, like with whatever like these visions are, right? And whatever other modalities that you'll be stepping into. Write your stuff down, right? Oh, they just said to grab a card. Which one? Where? Oh, they're there. Sorry, I've got like 50 billion cards on my desk. Because everybody calls out prior to a reading. One of these days I'm going to start doing card reviews and toss them up on the website. What I like, the energy frequency, how to shift the energy and frequency, right? So recognition, the ability to perceive things from the past times. So you may, like, this is a really good exercise for those of you that have your clairaudience or your claircognizance, right? Where you just have like a clear knowing. I don't know why I'm still, oh, that's not anything. Yeah, it's going to access to, so it's a really good exercise. You grab something from somebody you love that's passed on, right? And you hold on to it and you call their energy forward. And you start like actually like working with it. And, or you go and you say, you know what, I really want to see like where this watch came from, right? And show me how it was originally constructed. I want to see the original formation. And you close your eyes and you get into like a meditative state and you feel the vibration of the watch, right? And then you adjust and you go into meditation. And when you, why am I going into this? Somebody needs an exercise. Oh, to connect with a loved one, a departed one. That's not the way you're going to do that. This is specifically for people with recognition. So recognition, you literally ask to, like, I always tell kids to do this with like stones, right? Whenever they have a stone, when they hold on to it, they can see the quarry, where the stone came from. And it's a really good mental exercise, you know, so that they can learn the vibration of different places and they can see different things. It's kind of, it's an interesting exercise, right? There's a handful of exercises that I do with kids to keep them curious and their third eye open and them tapped in, right, without knowing that, hey, they're tapped in. It's a finite line when working with kids with gifts. And they're amazing, man. Somebody may also be like working on honing their skills with the pendulum, always asking for like the highest and best timeline, always asking for 100% light, right? If you are wanting to connect with like aliens, it's going to be like a 96% light and above, like that Richter. They only can go to like 98, and that's it, and that's the stopping point. And that's like on a good day, but that's not normal. For those of you that are wanting to connect with a male energy that's passed on, if you DM me, there is something that's called like meeting your spirit guides that I have on my website, and I can walk you through that process and we can do a session in regards to that. And yeah, so I'm going to leave that there. If something resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Sorry I ramble. It's just what happens. It's like when the tuner is open, sometimes I'll get Q&A. And it's just, that's just the way the energy works. We'll roll with it. My whole goal here is to help you get on a higher timeline, to feel like balanced in your body, to feel a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter after listening, and for you to do the stuff. Like, the truth is if you're watching, like, you have the ability to tap into like a higher vibrational state of being, right? You have your own gifts you work with. You have a reason for also being on this planet, however that looks for you, right? Truth comes through once the ego gets out of the way. And that is my hope, my desire, and my wish for everybody that watches this. So be well, and until next time.